All right, this is our midterm review. This is part 5, starting at number 50. First one we have f of x equals negative 2x minus 5 for x equals 3. That means any place you see x, you want to plug the number 3 in. So we want to plug it in that spot and in that spot. It's not going to make a whole lot of difference if you plug it into that first one or not, but just so we can keep it consistent, we'll say it's f of 3 equals negative 2. Instead of x, it's going to be times 3 minus 5. Leave this as f of 3. Nothing changes about that one. Equals negative 2 times 3 is negative 6 minus 5. And that's the same side, negative 6 and negative 5, both of them. So add them up. 6 plus 5 is 11. And they're both negative, so keep it that common sign. So f of 3 is equal to negative 11. Number 51, f of x equals 1/3 x for x equals 4. So again, any place you see x, plug in 4. So we'll plug it in there and there. So f of 4 equals 1/3 times 4. Okay. You have to know that everything's considered to be over 1. So 4 over 1. Anytime you're dealing with fractions and multiplying, since it's right next to it, you multiply straight across. That means 1 times 4 over 3 times 1. 1 times 4 is 4, and 3 times 1 is 3. And that's simplified. F of 4, there's no number that goes into both 4 and 3. So f of 4 equals 4 over 3. Some people were asking yesterday about, well, isn't that 1 and 1/3? Yeah, that's also 1 and 1/3. Both numbers work. But 4 over 3 is considered a simplified fraction, even though it's improper. Number 52, f of x equals negative x squared plus 1 for x equals negative 3. Okay, this is going to be a little confusing to a couple people. It'll lose a couple people. You got to plug in x's value, negative 3, there and there. So f of negative 3 equals, now there's already a negative here. So equals negative, and then you open your parentheses, negative 3. That's what we're plugging in, squared plus 1. Okay. Your order of operations still holds precedence. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So you have to take care of the excuse or the exponents part. You have negative 3 squared, which means negative 3 times negative 3, which is going to give you a positive 9. This negative is still here, though. We didn't do anything with that negative. So we'll finish it up. F of negative 3 still. Equals, now we have a negative right outside that 9, so that becomes negative 9 plus 1. Still f of negative 3. And then negative 9 plus 1, opposite signs, subtract the absolute values. 9 minus 1 is 8. And 9 is the one that's farther away from 0. It has the higher absolute value. It's negative, so f of negative 3 is equal to negative 8. Again, if this is confusing to you at all, looking at f of x like we did in the last few problems, think of this as y equals the rest of that. And it acts the exact same way. The only reason you plug in a negative 3 in that case is the way you can see which one you're talking about, negative 3. Okay, then we get to graphing on number 3. Graph the function y equals negative 2x plus 3. This is called the slope-intercept form because it shows us two things. It shows us a slope and it shows us an intercept without even having to change it or anything. Y equals mx plus b. Our slope, think of two little mountain peaks, is our m value, and our intercept, or our, more specifically, our y-intercept is our b value. So when you graph this equation, we're going to graph it with a few values. Just sketch what it's going to look like. Okay, your b value tells you where to begin, or it tells you on the y-axis where to put your first point. So at b's value of positive 3, which since this is your y-axis, remember this looks like a big capital Y, that's your y-axis. When you go up from the origin, 1, 2, 3, your first point will go right there. Okay. Then your m value, you can see it here, so it's multiplying by x, is negative 2. This is your m value. That negative 2 is over 1. Every number, every integer is considered over 1. What's important about that when you're dealing with slope is It's called rise over run. Remember, slope tells you to either go up or down. And the reason if you go up, it'll be positive. If you go down, it'll be negative. And that bottom number tells you to either go left or right. If it's negative, you go left. If it's positive, you go right. So as we're looking at our slope value right here, negative 2 over 1, negative tells us to go down 2. Positive 1 tells us to go to the right 1. So from the place where we just began, at positive 3, that dot we just put, or that point we just plotted, go down 2. Down 2 means once, twice, and to the right 1 time, once. So our second point will go right there. Once you have 2 points, this is slope-intercept form. We can show our equation looking like that. Okay, for this one, you need to find the slope. The trick to this one, and it might be a little bit light on you guys' paper, you want to look for integer intersections. All we mean by integer intersections is this is not a good point to use right here because it's in between the 2 points. You don't want to use anything in between them. This one, though, is a good one. See where it's on an intersection. And this one is a good one because it's on an intersection. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to start at one of those and see how many times we need to go up or down over how many times we need to go left or right. Now, it doesn't matter which one you start at. As a rule, I always start at the one that's farthest to the left, which would be this one. So we need to see how many times we need to go down to get to the other red point as we have it up there. We would go down 1 time right here. So down once would be -1. Then how many times do we need to go right or left? We have to go to the right once, 2, 3, 4 times. And since we went right, it's +4. So your slope value is -1/4. Again, finding a slope, again, you need to pick yourself 2 good integer points. This one looks like a pretty good one, and this one looks like a pretty good one. So from the one all the way on the left, we need to go up 1 time. Remember, up 1 means +1. We need to go to the right once, twice, 3 times. To the right means +3. Your slope for this one is 1/3. Okay, for this one, we don't have a picture. We need to find the slope. Our slope formula is the change of y, so y sub 2 minus y sub 1, over the change of x. So x sub 2 minus x sub 1. If you can't remember this formula, this is the important part to make sure you have the 2's on top of the 2's and the 1's on top of the 1's. If you mix that up, you're not going to get the right values. So then you just need to label your points. X, Y, X, Y. This one's first, so we'll call it sub 1. This one's second, we'll call it sub 2. If you get those backwards, it's not going to change your answer. So y sub 1's value, that's what goes first. So 1 minus y sub 2's value, I'm sorry, y sub 2 minus y sub 1's value is 7. X sub 2's value is 10, minus x sub 1's value is 1. So your m value is 1 minus 7, which is -6, and 10 minus 1, which is 9. So your m value is -6 over 3. 9, the number 3 goes into both of them. 3 times -2 over 3 times 3. And when you cancel out 3 over 3, your simplified answer, and I know I'm going up a little bit, is -2 over 3 as your slope. Okay, for this one, it says student finds slope 14.1 and 18.17. She writes 1 minus 17, 18 minus 14. Follow the slope formula. This is x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Notice how she plugs them in. She says 1 minus 17, so she goes this way, 1 minus 17. Then she says 18 minus 14, so then she goes this way. You can't go both directions like that. We've had this question a couple times. What mistake did she make? Her top and bottom order, her order is wrong. But she doesn't keep the same order in both of them, is I think the way the answer's been written the last couple of times. Okay, number 58 says state whether the slope is 0 or undefined. It might be a little tough for you to see, but this is the line here, the vertical line. Easiest way to tell these, and I always show you guys this, and I don't think a lot of people are missing this anymore, but it's no slope. That's the easiest way. If that doesn't make sense to you, remember your slope value is your rise over your run. So it's going to be your change of y over your change of x. So if you look at two values, let's say you look at this one on the line and you look at this one. When it changes up and down, let's say we went from the top one to the bottom one, that means we went down one, but we didn't go left or right at all. We went 0 going to the left or right. This is what can happen. You cannot have that 0 at the bottom. That's what makes it no slope, which is undefined. '59 says find the slope and y-intercept of the line. Sometimes my copy leaves the little fraction bar out. Y equals 4/3 x minus 3. This is in slope-intercept form. It shows you already. Y equals mx plus b. Whatever's multiplying by x, if it's in this form, 4/3 is your slope. Slope, think of two little mountain peaks, is your m value. Anybody who's getting stuck with that one? 4/3 is your slope. Your b is your y-intercept. B tells you where to begin when you're graphing it, but your B value, remember you catch the sign, it wouldn't be 3, it's -3 for your y-intercept. Again, that one's already in slope-intercept form, real simple. All you got to do is identify them. For this one, you're finding the slope and the y-intercept, but it's not in slope-intercept form. You need to move it. This is called standard form, which we'll get to after the break, but you need to move this in the slope-intercept form. So move everything that's at the end. We want y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form. So anything that's not y, we want to move it over there. That's positive 14x, so or plus 14x. Undo that by subtracting 14x. You subtract 14x on that side, you have to subtract it on the right side as well. These will cancel and leave you with 4y equals. Now you can't take 14x away from 24 and get 10x. The reason you can't do that is because 24 doesn't have an x. It's not a variable term. So all you can do is write these two things next to each other. So you can write 24 minus 14x, or since this says mx first and then b, put the x term first. So negative 14x, just skip yourself a step. It'll save you some time. And that's positive 24. So get y by itself, 4 times y, undo that times 4 by dividing by 4. Divide the left by 4, you got to divide everything on the right by 4. These will cancel out and leave you with just y. Now 14 doesn't divide evenly by 4, but the number 2 goes into both. Negative, it's actually, we'll write it out this way where we can see it a little better. 2 times negative 7x over 2 times 2. I'm going to erase this bottom part where we don't get confused. And then 24 divided by 4 is plus, that one is an even number, or an integer, I should say, plus 6. When you're simplifying, 2 divided by 2 will cancel out. So what you have is negative 7 over 2x plus 6, just bringing the stuff straight down, equals y. If you notice, this is y equals mx plus b. So this is your m value, which is multiplying by x. So your slope, it's negative 7 over 2. And your y-intercept is your b value, which is a positive 6. We can quickly write equations before we run out of time on this video. Y equals mx plus b. You leave y, you leave equals, and you leave x. And you plug in m's value, which is 1, where m is, so 1x. And you plug in b's value, where b goes, positive 4. Y equals 1x plus 4. You don't have to have the 1 showing, so y equals, in simplified form, x plus 4. For the next one, you can do likewise. Leave y, leave equals, and leave x. Plug in m, which is 1/4 in place of m, so 1/4 x, and b, which is negative 3 over 4, so negative 3 over 4. So y equals 1/4 x minus 3 over 4.